Here he is, New York Times best-selling author and National Radio Hall of Fame inductee, Michael Savage.
But crazy Bernie Sanders and the wash. By the way, Bernie is surging. Bernie is surging. But the Democrats are outraged that we killed this terrorist monster, even though this monster was behind hundreds and hundreds of deaths.
Senator Sanders, you call yourself a Democratic socialist, but more than 2/3 of voters say they are not enthusiastic about voting for a socialist. Doesn't that put your chances of beating Donald Trump at risk?
No, not at all. And that is...
All right, turn off the cell phone. The double talker. I don't want to listen to him. You know, the moderator last night from the local newspaper, the young lady, was fabulous. She deserves a national spot. She didn't smirk, she didn't smile, she wasn't blonde, all in her favor. No bleached blonde, no smirks, no smiles. Deadpan, ask real questions. She was fabulous. She had the nerve to ask this creep, this crackpot, this bum, this mook, this tuna fish, Bernie Sanders, how the hell can you run when most Americans hate socialism? And he tries to turn it around on Donald Trump. Now, the big thing from last night, to me, was Tom Steyer. I really never paid attention to him. I don't like his looks. He looks like a creepy bully to me. I know the type from high school, a bully from the top to the bottom. He's from New York, by the way. Came from a very wealthy lawyer family, worked for Goldman Sachs, made his fortune, listen to this, Mr. Environment made his fortune in coal and private prison investments. Are you listening to this? He made it in coal and private prisons. He also made it by betting against the Thai currency like his good friend George Soros. He made it on the dot-com bust before that. The dot-com bust? How many people got destroyed during the dot-com bust? Not Tom Steyer. See, he ran a hedge fund, made billions of dollars in certain areas. All legal, of course, nothing wrong with that. But why are all these billionaires pretending that they're poor, down with the people, and suddenly obsessed with the environment? Why? Because they think that that's what's going to sell, and it's not selling. He got my goat, Steyers. He bought his way in. He looks like a bully from New York, pretending to be a good guy. He isn't good. He's a thug, a bum, a mook. But nevertheless, the big story today is that the genius Pelosi apparently screwed her own Democrat candidates. Now, suddenly the candidates realize they cannot campaign during the fake trial. Only the two Bs will be on the campaign trail. Now, I think it's a major blunder by Nancy the Genius. Many of you say, no, she did it on purpose. Can someone call me who said to me on my Twitter feed that, no, she did it on purpose to make sure that Biden is the candidate of choice? Where did you hear that from? Is that an Alex Jones conspiracy theory? I like Alex. I mean, I don't know. Who put this out there? That she did it on purpose, that she's that smart. I don't know that she did it on purpose. I think she screwed everybody, including Biden. Because I'm telling you why. Because if he's out there with Buttigieg, Buttigieg's going to smear the floor up with him. Buttigieg is a creepy kind of guy who's very smart and doesn't lose his cool too fast, and he's 10 times faster and smarter than Biden. So I wouldn't think that Pelosi was so smart. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Welcome to the Savage Nation for the post-Democrat debate number 5,922 edition. Warren, I named Dizzy Lizzy last night. You know, one of the great lines of the debate, I watched most of it, by the way. I guess I'm bored and have nothing to do. But I decided to see how crazy the left has become. Let's see, Buttigieg is now an expert on child care. Can anyone explain that to me, why that's an expertise of his? Buttigieg, an expert on child care? Warren says tax the rich so the government can give child care to illegal aliens and crack mothers? Warren wants the federal government to manufacture pharmaceuticals. How did this imbecile get this far? The federal government is going to manufacture pharmaceuticals? How about a federal government car to eliminate all those evil automobile corporations? Well, if the federal government made a car and she were president, I suppose they could call it the Dizzy Lizzy. It would run on hot air and go nowhere, just like her. But then again, there are other things to talk about. Last night, we saw that the mental defectives called the Democrats were saying cut all profits for those evil drug companies. I ask a question. Where would the new medicines come from? Who would pay for the cost of research and development? Has Bernie's Cuba ever produced a new medicine? Where do these mental defectives come from? How do any sheeple believe them? Are they that stupid? Now remember, I worked in pharmacology in my early years in graduate school. My first master's degree was in ethnopharmacology. It, at that time, cost the drug company over $1.2 billion to find, develop, and bring a drug to market. That was a long time ago. The cost is probably $3 to $4 billion or more now, if there's someone in the pharmaceutical business who can upgrade us on this. Where are new medicines going to come from if the government goes into the pharmaceutical business? This is the best that a college teacher like Elizabeth mean-faced Warren can come up with? And again, there was irony last night. The Dems are debating in the Corn Belt. Well, of course, they cater to those in the Porn Belt. I also ask you this. How can communists who have never produced a product or a service that anyone ever purchased talk about improving the best economy we've seen in decades? None of them make any sense. Sanders, a lifetime politician. Warren, a college professor. Buttigieg, a small-town politician. Biden, a lifer doofus political guy, never produced a product or service. All they know is politics, nothing else. If you'd like to tune in here and chime in, rather, the phone number is 855-407-282. I don't know what the question is, but I could ask you, did any one of them win the debate? Who would face Trump? And how can anyone listening to this show tell me that there's anyone up on that stage who can do a better job on the economy? Let's stick to that for a moment than Donald Trump. I'd like a Democrat who is rational tell me how a Democrat on that stage can do better than Donald Trump on the economy. Let's just stick to the economy. Anyone want to take me up on that one? I'd like to hear it. Now let's talk about the not stupid Tom Steyer. He's far from stupid. He's very smart. An overachiever. He came from a well-off family in Manhattan, the youngest of three sons. Who was Steyer's father? A corporate litigator at Sullivan and Cromwell, the white shoe law firm that has represented Goldman Sachs for decades. Now, nothing wrong with Goldman Sachs. They're a great investment firm. The firm also represented Exxon. That's Steyer's father. And among colleagues, Steyer's father was known as Mr. Oil. The man who now says he represents the poor, the downtrodden, the blacks, the Hispanics, the illegal aliens, and the frogs who are being decimated by global warming, grew up on the Upper East Side. The Steyer family had a housekeeper and a nanny. They summered in Nantucket, down with the people. But Tom's mother was a progressive and principled woman, and she is said to have washed his mouth out with soap when he swore. That's interesting. She also taught felons to read in a Brooklyn detention center. I once asked my mother, "Who are we? Who is our family?" recalls Tom Steyer. Well, she said, "We've never been rich or powerful, but we've always been well-educated, and we participated in our community." Okay, the road to nowhere is paved with good intentions. But let's focus on Steyer for a minute. You say, well, he's not really a player. Well, he is. He was up there last night. He bought his way in. He bet on private prisons, and coal mining. How in the world can his funds investments in coal mining and private prisons go unnoticed? How? Impossible. He also in San Francisco ran Farallon Capital. Now, Farallon Capital is an investment firm. They made a lot of money. They invested $34 million in Corrections Corporation of America, which runs, are you ready for this, everyone? Migrant detention centers on the U.S.-Mexico border for U.S. ICE. Are you listening to this? That is Tom Steyer, the man who makes believe he represents Mexicans and illegal aliens and the poor and the downtrodden and frogs. Ran an investment firm or an investment fund, Farallon, and in 2005 they invested $34 million in CCA, Corrections Corporation of America, which runs migrant detention centers on the U.S.-Mexico border for U.S. ICE. Can you believe this? There's more to Tom Steyer, the phony. His company, what is it called, Farallon, invested in fossil fuel projects, including a gigantic coal mine in Australia that not only generated vast quantities of carbon emissions, but killed God knows how many koala bears. Steyer's investment allowed the owners of the coal mining company in Australia to steamroll protesters from the environmental area to clear 3,700 acres of forest that served as a koala habitat and to mine 12 million tons of coal per year. That's Mr. Environment, Tom Steyer, the #1 phony on the stage. I'll be right back.